How's it going, everyone? Welcome, Gabriel Gonzalez here. Today, let's go to explore now about Git, this fantastic tool when it comes to collaborate among a huge wide variety of contributors in large ecosystem, in large enterprise with huge code bases. So here in today's video, let's go to explore now the structure here, the Git basics. All right, let's go to now explore this kind of stuff. We're gonna take some notes out of this because despite that this course is something that if you're quite familiar with concepts like Git re, which is something I am not familiar with. Let me see if I can show you this. Where is it? Oh my god, exactly. So this code, if you're really familiar with rebase, you know what rebase does. I don't know. Reflow, log, cat file, config, and reset. This is a course that is not for you. However, in my case, I am out of 7 from I am quite familiar with 2, 3 out of 7, which is this course is for me. So I am quite familiar with log. I am familiar with log, with reset, not that much, and with rebase, not that much. The others I don't know what it is. Reflow, and all that kind of stuff. So now, since the idea here is to at least get ourselves familiar with the 80% of the 90% of the Git as a tool, so we can get the benefit out of this. So this little introduction is to at least to explore is this 13 commands, which is something that we're gonna go over the 20% of the learning to get the 80% of the outcomes. All right. This is following the Pareto principle. But the idea here is this: is like there are over 147 commands in Git, and I really love about Git when you search that on manual. You put the Git or man Git. It tells you the stupid content tracker because something. So Git was invented by Linux because so we can. So the rest of us could nearly as smart as him, right? Because he's that good that he can hold the entire Linux OS in his head. That's the role of the tech lead. All right, that's a true tech lead is all about in any company. It's like he holds the entire application in his head, so he knows where to look and how to do that kind of stuff, and this is something that is quite interesting because as long as you understand the patterns of how you can build this kind of applications, front end and back end. The idea is that you can now provide is a much more, so be much more effective and efficient at a distance when it comes to add, fix, or debug or maintain code bases, right? So why have I mentioned this? Because this is a fun notes here on the what the tech lead role is all about. So he is now able to hold everything in his head, the entire application in his head, and when he needs to make a fix, he knows where to look at it, right? So if you apply that to your life, all right, that you have that kind of control, which is of course this is taking a quick segue here. If you have that kind of control over your life in terms of your sleep, your nutrition, physical conditions, and how much time you share with your loving ones, and so on and so forth. Things are, first, you need to adapt to change, and second, it will give you much more confidence to deal with the anxiety of uncertainty, which is another reason why a lot of people actually are too anxious. Is because they not only overthink about all of the kind of problems, but they don't act accordingly. So here we are. All right, now this is Git. So we went through explore, now Git, and Git is this stupid tracker. To be more technically speaking, this is a distributed version system control about how now everybody on their local machines, which is one of the great stuff of using Git, is that you can hold the entire repository, the entire application locally by holding a local version of that, apply some change, and then you're going to update or push with new change to the remote repository, right? And this is what a Git, particularly the commit, is all about. Again, something that we're going to look at that. But yeah, so we talk about what Git is, and what is the anatomy of Git. Pretty much like when you look at somebody, the anatomy, whether it's a woman, a man, JavaScript, or CSS, the browser, you need to understand is the anatomy here, or the architecture, how the things was built. So Git is made of the porcelain and plumbing, or these low levels. So porcelain commands and plumbing commands. So high level commands, most of the time what we're going to interact with, and the plumbing or this low level command. I am not quite sure what this plumbing low level means, which is one of the reasons why we're going to explore in this series of videos. All right. So the idea here is that we're going to look at how Git data structure works, so you don't get confused about, hey, I need to use, so how can I use this rebase or merge or cherry pick? You know what's going on behind the scenes. All right, so there's some key terms in Git. So we look at the architecture, porcelain and plumbing command, and the key terms of this, which is the repo, the Git, the project that Git is tracking, the commit. This is the project that can be regenerated entirely from a single command, and this is might be quite not intuitive. We think that this is just a diff between one commit and another, but this is what a commit is. So you hold the entire, you can recreate the entire applications from one single commit. The index area, which is an staging area, concept like Squash, where you have all of these different commits, all of these recreation states of your applications. All right. Sorry. That you can now take all of this and squash them. So the work tree, the working tree, or the main work tree, which is, this is your Git repo, stuff that Git will track in that folder, and the Untracked. So this is the three areas that we have in Git workflow. So you have Untracked, you have now the stage, when you add that commit, when you add those changes to the working tree, all right, to this staging area, to the index, all right. So you adding all of this changes that happens, so you're adding all of these changes that have all of those file change, you add it to the index or this staged area. All right, and ultimately is once you are ready that they are the final change, you track them, so you commit them. There's some other key important factors. So we look at the key terms and now how the data structure in Git works, which is an acyclic graph. So for those who are not familiar with graph, is just a data structure that, unlike a binary tree, a node can have one or multiple links to other nodes. Okay, this is something that I am not quite familiar with. I'm trying to grasp up in terms of understand that what is this all about, especially more complex data structures, and how to traverse that, how to traverse that. So for example is binary tree, graph, and some advanced techniques of how can we organize our data, which is part of the beautiful stuff. But in any case, Git. So this is an acyclic graph, meaning that the following cannot exist. So one pattern cannot have, you can have any loop inside of that data structure. All right, so anytime you create a new commit, so what you're doing is just updating the pointer to that new state of the application that you can recreate. So in Git, each commit is a node in the graph. All right, it's important to, which is what I mentioned. So each commit is a node in the graph, pretty much like the DOM, where the div, the HTML, any HTML tag is an element on the tree, similar for React and the React tree, where each component or each JavaScript functions is now a node. All right, but again, here we're talking about is a graph. So each commit is a node in a graph. Okay, makes sense. And each pointer is a child to a pattern relationship, because at the end of the day, you have now an acyclic graph. All right, if you delete untracked files, all right, so they are lost forever. Commit early, commit often, and you can always change history to make it one commit by squashing them. Okay, this is part of the recommendation that he mentioned, right? So commit early, commit often, and you can always change history to make it one commit, which is a squashing. All right. As I mentioned before, so we are most of the time quite familiar with push, pull, add, commit, and status. And this course is, as I mentioned, is not for people that are not quite familiar with rebase, reread, reflow, cat, file, log, config, and reset. Okay. Side notes: the hardest part of any job is usually never the code itself, is the poor decision that you make in the past about the code and working with some sort of version control with everybody. So we first look at the git config. So some of the configurations that we need to put in place to understand also is how is the config file structure, all right, and how you can is get or set the initial default branch, as well as to enable read. Okay, so at the end of the day, anytime you want to have access to this config file structure, it is made of the section and the key. Okay, and so for example, if you want to now change the username, you say, hey git, I want you to go to the config global and then set the, for example, user and the value, the key and the value, right? So a good example of that is what we did is just to set the username and email. All right, good. So let's get into this, right? There you got it. Okay. Okay. Here we are.
Creating a repo is pretty straightforward.
Oh, we already created a repo, exactly, which is Git basics. And here we are, creating a new repo. All right. Creating a new repo. This is the first step on any project to create that. We just git init, something that I'm quite familiar with because I have created a lot of repos initially. All right. But I didn't understand is what it's doing behind the scenes. So with the git init, it will create now a repo, or it'll create a hidden folder called .git. All right, that is inside of this. The files are in the Git repo. So every Git repo comes with a directory that contains all of the states that Git of the Git repo. The repo is found in the Git folder. So let's go into now take a look at that. Let's now take a look at that. Oh, come on, where is it? No. Okay. What about here? Cursor? No. Oh, there you go. Hard part, functional light, hard part is functional light. Okay. What about this? Page 2, intro, mock services, RX fundamental, plenty, integration testing, playground, no, e-ticket, no, go crafter, no, enterprise UI development. That was a very interesting topic to look at it. ESLint config, fundamentals of front end, intro v3 app. Mock servers, so I don't have them, no problem. That's going to create that. So this is Git. There you got it. Git essentials. So if I open up this and then I go back to where I was, which is functional lights. There you got it. All right. Yep, that's right. There you got it. My first Git repo. And here we are. So follow me along here with the enterprise UI. Just gonna take a look at the code control, Git essentials. That you got it. Just gonna rename this with Git essentials. So Git essentials. All right. We already create our repo here. You got it. You're gonna use this terminal, but I'm not a friend of this terminal, by the way. Okay. So This is it. And well, let's go into now create our Git repo.
A lot of people probably have never actually created a repo. They've always just cloned from somewhere and worked on something. So if you've never done personal projects, you may have never created one. Or if you always created first on, say, GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket, then you'll probably clone down. Sorry, this weird phrase to leave my mouth. Bitbucket. Ugh. So the very first step is git init. Use git init to initialize Git. It will add a .git.
No, but what he mentioned is true here. Hey, wait, what?
People probably have never actually created a repo. They've always just cloned from somewhere and worked on something. So
Exactly. So Git folder is where all your data structure are. So most of the time, people just clone a repo and work on something. So here we are going to see what's going on when we create a repo, because I never actually I never took the time to look at what's going on. So let's get into this. When we create a Git folder, or when we initialize Git, much better. Okay.
if you've never done personal projects, you may have never created one. Or if you always created first on, say, GitHub or GitLab.
So let's get into this.
Then you'll probably clone down. Sorry, this weird phrase to leave my mouth. Bitbucket. Ugh. So the very first step is git init. Use git init to initialize
Git.
It will add a .git folder inside the directory.
And now it will add a Git folder for that.
Problem, I want you to go somewhere and I want you to add.
This is interesting
I want you to create your first repo. You can name it
because
whatever you want. I named this one my first Git repo. And by the way, for those that are like, okay, I already know all this stuff, I want to move on fast. Trust me, we're going to go really deep, really quickly. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Git version, I think it is.
And
Git
so I'm going to go
version.
maker my first
Exactly.
repo, and I'm going to go git init. There we go. And as long as you have everything properly set up, you should see this error message, which says, hey, by the way, you don't have a default branch name. Here's the default branch, the default branch name. If you wish to do something with it, you can set your own config, and it will magically work.
So as you can see
I want you to
here,
get this error message if you have the same setup that I do.
chill. So as you can see here, you say, hey, this is a screen. This is Finder here with this screenshot. I already take the. It doesn't show me here. No, there you got it. Okay, it's this one, right? So here we're also looking at the particular version that we're using. Which version of Git are we Which version of Git is currently available, bro? Okay, 2.49, and we are now at the 2.480. Okay, we're not that far away. That's interesting. That's great. Interesting. Okay. And this is Kotlin. Okay, KDA. Alright. Okay, anyway. Yes. Much better. Okay, cool. Now, let's move on.
So every single repo comes with this .git folder. This is where all the data structures kept. Now it's kind of weird because a lot of people probably think of data structures as things that run inside of a program, a tree, a hash map, but you can also keep them just in files, right? Oh, you got a question?
If you accidentally initialize a Git repo too high, like in a parent folder, what's the best way to revert this?
The best way to... Oh, we got a question.
If you accidentally initialize a git repo too high, like in a parent folder, what's the best way to revert this?
The best way to revert that, delete the git folder. Tree, a hash map,
Okay.
hash map. But you can also keep them just in files, right? Oh, we got a question.
If you accidentally initialize a git repo too high, like in a parent folder, what's the best way to revert this?
The best way to revert that, delete the git folder. Right? Once the .git folder's been deleted, the repo does not exist. All of Git's history is inside this .git folder. So you delete that, you don't have a repo anymore. Alright, problem. Validate you have a new Git repo by listing out all the files inside the .git folder.
Validate. Okay. Validate all of you have created a new Git repo by listing all of the files and directory in the Git state directory. Okay. So problem. You take a look at this. Say finder. Yeah, wait, what? It's not. Is this one?
Or directory. Whatever one you want to use, you know? I in fact, in one sentence just earlier, I said folder in your directory, and I just realized like how many people are they're just shook by the fact that I'm using those terms. I just love it. Alright, so if you don't know, you can use find. So I
Exactly. You can use find.
go find.git, it'll list out everything.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's silly, but it can be silly, but that's what we are here, you know. Oh, that's actually quite dark. Let me actually, and much better because now we are not in a haunted house or a episode from Hollow movie, I think it is, which is Sleepy Hollow. For an episode on Sleepy Hollow. Okay, yeah, that's right. Now it looks like more friendly. So okay. Good. Good. All right. Good. So this is it. This is the problem. And let's go to list all of the validate that you have created a new Git repo by listing out the files and directories in the Git state directory. So this is pretty straightforward. It's going to validate that by saying, hey, find. This is one of the commands that I really love about that because it's much more meaning in Mac. So find any Git folder here, you know, pretty straightforward. And here we are starting to see is all of it. It's like, hey, we have now a config folder and an object and an object pack and an info and a head file and info exclude and description and hooks. Yeah, git hooks commit samples and all that kind of stuff, right? So most of the time we're not gonna use hooks. Based on the prime experience, is say, hey, no, you shouldn't use Git, you shouldn't use hooks. There's people that love hooks or the others that don't, but in any case, we also have something called here ref, heads, and tags, which is something that we use a lot. This mystical stuff about tag that I don't know how to do that.
Everything. You'll see a whole bunch of stuff. You'll see
Let me see if we're gonna use that tag or not. Oh, tags and other tools. Okay, Git tool techniques. Now let's get
a bunch
into
of
it.
like informational tracking items, and then you'll also see a bunch.
As you can see, there is a lot of bunch of informational tracking data here. So by running now find Git, that's one of the I freaking love about Mac, bro. I French don't love about owning a Mac, bro. Yeah. All right. So it's gonna put it here. Okay. You got it. Bam. As you can see here, this is all of the information here. Okay. Oh, we put it is in the wrong order. I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna put it here. Okay. If I cut this a little bit here and there, you got it. All right, much better. So here is a bunch of tracking information registry.
If you don't know, you can find. So if I go find.get, it'll list out everything, and you'll see a whole bunch of stuff in here. You'll see a bunch of like informational tracking items.
Informational tracking data. Here we're gonna here we are looking at a bunch of informational tracking data. All right, which is interesting because he have that stuff called info, and he lists that at the beginning, right?
And then you'll also see a, so if you don't know, you can use find. So if I go find.get, it'll list out everything, and you'll see a whole bunch of stuff in here. You'll see a bunch of like informational tracking items, and then you'll also see a bunch of sample scripts right here. I'm not going to talk about hooks today. I think hooks are evil. Don't use hooks. That's my personal opinion. We're just not even going to cover them. If you want to learn about hooks,
yeah, we're not going to look at hooks, so we are not going to look at hooks. The prime Jin thinks it is horrible. Doesn't matter, but in any case,
go read right here. You have a bunch of sample stuff. They'll just make your life miserable. Personal opinion. Don't use hooks. Okay, that's what your CI is for. That's your responsibility to test your own code. Don't be ridiculous. All right. They'll just make your life miserable. Personal opinion. Don't use hooks. Okay, that's what your CI is for. That's they'll just make your life miserable. Personal opinion. Don't use hooks. Okay, that's what your CI is for. That's your responsibility to test your own code. Go read right here. You have a bunch of sample stuff. They'll just make your life miserable. Personal opinion. Don't use hooks. Okay, that's what your CI is for.
Exactly. So what you see, CI is for.
That's your responsibility to test your own code. Don't be ridiculous. All right. A lot of people have really strong reactions when it comes to hooks. Either they absolutely love them or they hate them. I'm on the hating camp.
So people have a lot of strong feelings about hooks. The prime gene is on the hating camp. Hating camp.
You may not like this, but this is what peak empty repo looks like. Just a Git folder with a bunch of files in it. Again, I always thought this was just kind of like, this was kind of mind-blowing to me, the fact that Git is in some sense stateless. Like when you run Git, it has to go, okay, where am I? It has to find the .git folder. It has to look for that stuff, and then it can tell exactly what's happened inside this directory. And look at Git, it has to go, okay. Again, I always thought this was just kind of like, this was kind of mind-blowing to me, the fact that Git is in some sense stateless. Like when you run Git, it has to go, okay, where am I? It has to
Okay. In some sense, Git is stateless. Is that accurate? Is that accurate? Is that accurate?
find the .git folder. It has to look for that stuff. And
It's to look for the stuff.
Git is in some sense stateless. Like when you run Git, it has to go, okay, where am I? It has to.
So when you so when you run Git, it says, all right, where am I? It makes sense. It makes sense.
Find the .git folder.
It has to find the Git folder Okay, it has to find the Git folder. Okay, to tell you exactly what's happened. It has to look for that stuff, and then it can tell you that. It has to find the Git folder. It has to find the Git folder. It has to find the Git folder. It has to look inside of it. It has to look for that stuff. It has to look for that stuff, and then it can tell exactly what's happening. And then it can tell exactly what's happening. Or exactly what happened. What happened? Oh, that's mind blowing. So it's, in some sense, it's a stateless, and it makes a lot of sense, because anytime you run a git command, it has to ask. Okay, so when you run git, it say, okay, all right, where am I? And it has to look for that git folders, and you have to look for all the stuff, so it can tell you exactly what happened. Pair projects. Because all of that data are on the project.
What's happened inside this directory by looking in the Git folder. And so it's kind of like, that was kind of like a neat revelation. It is its own entity like that.
Okay. So this is a neat revelation of that. Okay. Okay.
This is pretty much the 80% of you'll do with Git. If this is all you ever learn about Git, you'll be moderately successful. Like, you can get pretty dang far knowing about Git add, path to file, or a file pattern, Git commit -m, and Git status. If you can just know those three commands, you're already doing pretty dang good. Okay,
Yeah.
so Git add will stage the file. It will add.
Yeah, this is part of the basic and commits. Basics and commit. SHA. Basic and commit SHA. In some sense, it's stateless, so it doesn't hold any information of that. It say, hey, where am I? So when you run Git, it say, hey, where am I? And so you need to look out for the Git folder and all that stuff that lives inside of that to tell you exactly what happened. Okay. That's one of the reasons why it's important to describe this kind of stuff. So not only that you have the practical approach, which is a great stuff, but also how you can describe that. So what's going on behind the scenes, and be effective in doing so. Good. Basic and commit SHA. So let's get into this. That's interesting.
Add it to the index. Git commit will take your staged files, your index files.
So add it to the index. Okay. And this is a mechanical process that's going on every single time that you do this kind of stuff. Right now you're not seeing what I'm doing, but it's this one. It's pretty straightforward. It's like get the essentials. Is this one, right? So here we're just taking notes about that, blah 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 blah, and now looking at the basic and commit SHA. So this is pretty much what this is, a mechanical process. So we already know that, and this is interesting because once we know this mechanism, especially pretty much like React or React Native or JavaScript, and what's going on when we now run code, okay, the fundamentals of JavaScript, and then the object-oriented programming and how that inner mechanism works behind the scenes as a way to now save space in memory and reuse a lot of functionality with specific data, okay, and also that how you can deal with asynchronicity and how asynchronicity is handled that with the event loop, callback queue, and micro task queue. So all of this stuff that I already have in my mind, okay, pretty much like a personal trainer or finance bro or a lawyer or a medical MD student or MD practitioner. So he already has that knowledge, so they can, even though for OnlyFans as well. So they already know all of this knowledge, and they now act accordingly. So yes, so git add. Okay, so git add will add this add 0 more files to the index, to the staging area. Let me actually put it here. Okay, to the staging area. We remember here, like so. I want to put it here, right? So anytime that you add a command here, you add it to the index area, to the stage area. Okay, staging area.
The author name, the time, the contents of the change, all that, and will produce out a SHA. Did you know that SHA stands for Secure Hashing Algorithm? Isn't that kind of disappointing? The author name, the time, the contents of the change, to the index. Git commit will take your staged files, your index file, and then turn it into a commit with your the author name.
Exactly. So git add will take all of that.
Or a file pattern. Git commit -m. Be moderately successful. This is pretty much the 80% of you'll do with Git. If this is all you ever learn about Git, you'll be moderately successful. Like you can get pretty dang far knowing about git add, path to file, or a file pattern. Git commit -m. And git status. If you can just know those 3 commands, you're already doing pretty dang good. Okay, so git add will stage the file. It will add it to the index.
Git add will stage to the file. It will add it to the index. So git add will add those files to the index. Okay, to the index. Come on, really? Italic to the index. All right, to the index. All right, to the staging area, which is staging area, right? To the staging area. So the other is this.
Commit will take your staged files, your index file, and then turn it into a commit with your own.
So git commit will turn those files.
So git add will stage the file. It will add it to the index. Git commit will take your staged files, your index file, and then turn it into a commit.
Git commit will turn your index files and will turn your index files into a commit. This is interesting because it's like analyzing all of this content, all right, and then it generate a commit to that, aka a node that you can recreate your application. Okay.
The author name, the time.
Into a commit that will have is the author name, the time, and the commit, the time, the content of the change, the content of the change. All right, all of that, and we'll produce out of a SHA.
The contents of the change, all that, and will produce out a SHA.
Exactly, all of that, and will produce a SHA.
You know that SHA stands for security.
Hashing algorithm. Okay, SHA. Interesting. A SHA, a secure hashing algorithm.
Hashing algorithm? Isn't that kind of disappointing? Like, it's a variant of MD5. Either way.
It's a variant of MDA5. It's a variant of MDA5. SHA. Interesting. Okay. SHA stands for secure hashing algorithm. Okay. Interesting.
Okay. It just is always disappointing to know that SHA means secure hashing algorithm. And then get status will just say, here's the state of your repo.
And git status says, here is the state of your repo.
Alright, problem. We want to trace the steps of Git from untracked to tracked.
That's exactly what we're gonna do. Bro, of course. That's what I pay for. Exactly. That's right. Problem. We want to trace the step of Git from untracked to track. Let's get into this. And there you go. Problem. We want to trace the step of Git from untracked to track.
So here's this. Don't forget these ones right here. This is what I want you to do. I want you to create a file called first.md. I want you to check the status of Git. Then I want you to add first.md to the staging area. Recheck the status, see that it's being tracked, commit it with a friendly message, and then check the status again. If you're pretty good with Git,
so this is what we're gonna do. So I am quite familiar with what we're going to do here. There you got it. Okay, so let's get into this. So create a file, first MD. It's gonna add some content to that. Okay. Let's go to console log here, or to code, and let's go to code here. Git essentials here. All right. Just going to now zoom in a little bit and do this. So git started. No, we already initialized the repo. We're gonna create is a folder or a file, sorry, called first. So create a file. So it's gonna create this file and say, hey, touch, which is a file. The way of how you can, let's go to explore now here, man. Here, say, man, touch, change file access and modification times. Good. Pretty much what we're gonna do. If it doesn't exist, it will create a new file for that. But again, it's change file access and modifications. Interesting. The touch utility set the modification and access time of a file. If any file does not exist, it create with default permissions. By default, touch changes both modifications and access time. But again, this is a quite interesting command that a lot of people actually use to create a new file here. It's a touch. Okay, I'm going to now is, if a file doesn't exist, I'm going to create with the default permissions. Change the file access and modification time. So I want to change the file and modify its access by setting it with the default values. The name of the first, say first MD, first MD. If I want to add some content here, I can do something like this. So it's going to explore this. It say, no, I don't recognize that. What do you mean? It's like, no, I don't recognize that. So let's going to go with touch. Let's gonna go and search. Say search. Pattern not found. That's interesting. But this is to me quite interesting, and the reason why we're actually using is warp here. All right, let's say, hey, what the when you run the operator in Unix Linux shell command is a redirection operator that appends content to a file. Okay, it appends content to a file. Here's what it means: single angle brackets and double angle brackets. Create a new file or overwrite an existing file with new content. And the other is the append content. Oh, this is come from the shell command. Interesting. Echo hello. Okay, and I want to create a file with hello or overwrite if it exists. And I want to append is that preserving the existing content. That's interesting. When using touch specifically, you don't need this operator because touch is used to create an empty file if it doesn't exist and update the timestamp to an existing file. The correct syntax is this. The operator is more commonly used with commands that generate output like echo and cat. Oh, but this is an operator in Unix and Linux shell command that allow you to or append the content or overrides it. Interesting. So if I want to override the content of this file, say first MD, all right, if I want to override the content of this file, I'd use a single quote, a single angle bracket, or double to append the content and preserve
And
it.
already know these basic commands. Please just create a command really quickly with first on this. You'll see right here, untracked file. It has no idea anything of it. I'm gonna go to first.md. I'll go hello fam. There we go.
All right, I'm gonna do is hello fam. There you got it. You say git status. This is what? Oh crap. Good. No, it's okay. It's okay because here we that's exact. That's good because here I'm going to remove the folder git. All right, so I don't want you to keep track anything here. And remove is the fam first and hello. All right, and get into my first git repo, which is my first git repo, and it's inside of this that I want to actually create is that. And here we have is the git repo initialize. Let me remove that. Okay, say git, remove git here. Okay, good. Now it's going to create that repo initially, which is a great stuff. Of course, you're gonna show this warning here, and it's going to create now our first file here, which is touch. So if you want to find is the file here, you say git file is actually creating all of this informational tracking folders and data. Okay, now I want to say, hey git, please let's go to, this is git dot here. So hey git, let's go to create our first file called first.md with this kind of content. So I want to append the content here and create this file called hello fam. All right, you got it. So you say git status, bam, there you got it here. All right, so I don't know why do we have this fan and hello here. Oh, oh, I get it. Remove in a recursive force way about fam and hello, right? So I just want this to now have access to first, okay, and say hey, hello fam, right? Good. All right, I already saved that, and we say here get status is this file here.
Get status, you'll see right here, untracked file.
Untracked file.
No idea anything about this file. First time it's ever seen it.
Mm-hmm. So it's like this, right? So there you got it. So there you got it, right?
It doesn't have any information about it. If I go get add this, and then redo it, you'll see now we are tracking. It's officially a part of the Git ecosystem, but only on a singular level.
Get status. So if you add it, you can say get status is now part of the ecosystem of Git.
Meaning that it's only a part of the staging. It has no prior information besides for staging. If I go get commit, -m, friendly message, how nice that is. It's going to tell me, hey, this is the first commit of the repo, the root commit. It has no parents. Typically, I usually go with Batman for my first commit. I think it's funny because Batman doesn't have any parents, right? So you can always go for that on the first repo. I think it's fantastic. And there you go. So we've made our first commit. So that means if I go get status, it says right here, what branch you're on, nothing to commit. There you go. The tree is clean. So the changes are in the repo.
It's interesting. It's not the tree. Is the graph is clean.
One of the common activities you should get into the habit of, or at least know it's available, is git log. Git log allows you to look at the history of the repo. It's a very powerful thing. We're going to go over a few of the options today, and we're going to use it very regularly throughout this course because it's just awesome to have in your bat belt. I guess we're going with Batman themed things. Anyways, so review or explore, check out man git log because I want you to open up the man page and actually look at it, and I want you to search for --graph and --decorate and just kind of do a quick read. Get kind of used to reading the manual. I'll do it along with you. Man git log. There's graph right here.
So let's gonna make a quick pause here, and that'll be all for this video. So take care. Bye bye.